You're listening to SMUBE's Campus Radio. Say what you want to say. My name is Hannah, your host for today, and welcome to A Cuppa With, an alumni-giving podcast series where we'll be hosting special guest alumni for an informal chit-chat. These conversations will take us through their life journeys, their careers, what success means to them, as well as touch on diverse perspectives on creating meaningful impact via their work, projects, and life. In a twist to our episode today, we have not one but two guests to touch on their diverse perspectives on what it's like to be a leader. Our second special guest for today is someone you have definitely seen pop up in your emails from time to time. So stay tuned to find out who she is. But now, introducing our first guest for the day, we're honored to have with us Mr. Mahesh Primalani, the head of business development at Parisilk. Not only was Mahesh from the pioneering batch in 2004 of business students, but he was also the first ever president of the SMU Students Association, SMUSA in short. This is A Cuppa with Mahesh Primalani. Welcome, Mahesh. How have you been doing?
I've been good. Been growing up. It's been a while since I attended my last class at SMU, but good.
So since we're all here and speaking of SMU, I'd like to know, what were some of your fondest memories of SMU?
We started out at the Bukit Timah campus, at the Evans Road campus actually. So it was a car park. And then in the space of about 6 months, they put together a 2-story building, about 100 meters or so in length. And that's where we spent our first year. After that, we moved across to the old Bukit Timah campus, right by the Botanic Gardens. And we spent our second, third, and fourth year over there. It's a beautiful campus, and there were only about 300 of us in the very first year. So it was the essence of the place. That's something that all of us still very much remember.
In terms of your experience going forward, how do you think your SMU experience has helped your career success today?
I wouldn't say it's a success yet, for starters, but it's definitely made me and a lot of my friends a lot more inquisitive and a lot more willing to try new things. We put together at the time, on a shoestring budget given to us by OSL, quite a few of the clubs that still exist today. Some of which are, for example, SMUGs, Eurythmics, Stage It. So these are a few that we put together. So being able to create something out of nothing with very little resources, very little money, I think that's something that's carried through even till today.
Moving on to life after SMU, I read in an interview that after 6 months of working for a management consulting firm in a posh Raffles Place office, you decided to instead leave and join Parisilk. For our viewers, Parisilk is a consumer electronics firm set up by Mahesh's grandfather in 1952. So Mahesh, could you tell us what this decision was like, why you decided to move from consulting to working with your family?
So it's something I've always wanted to do. I grew up in the business. Being a family business, I used to spend all my school holidays there and literally grew up in it. So the plan for me was always to work outside for 2 or 3 years, earn somebody else's money, and then take what I learned into the family business. But I've always been a very people person, not so much, don't really enjoy the office environment. I like meeting people and having conversations and building relationships. So after a few months of what was predominantly a desk-bound job, I realized it wasn't really the thing for me. So yeah, but I made a lot of good friends there. Again, it's just what I love to do. I made a lot of good friends. I learned quite a few things. It was HR consulting. I've taken a few of the lessons I learned back into the business that my family and I run. So yeah.
So I know that for the vast majority of SMU students, the dream is to work in a fancy office, but that's not the only way to success. And you know that a lot of others also have their own experiences. So I'd like to ask, what advice do you have for undergraduates when it comes to approaching the employment market?
Very important to meet as many people as you can, build your networks as much as you can, because your faculty, they know a lot of people. They've been in this industry for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They know a lot of people. get into their networks, get into their good books, through your CCAs, meet as many people as you can, leverage on the networks that SMU has built. From there, if you apply for a position, you can use great references, get an interview. And once you get that interview, kill it. It's the interview that's important. And you can only put the right message across at an interview if you have that confidence. And you don't get that confidence from reading, from studying, from sitting in the library, from sitting for exams. You get that from confidence from getting out there, being involved in your CCAs, going on exchange, doing as many internships as you can, meeting as many people as you can, and making as many friends as you can.
We've yet to talk about a significant part of your SMU journey so far, your time as the first ever president of SMUSA. So this brings us to our second special guest of the day, Lim Jia En. So Jia En is currently a third-year business school student who is the current president of SMUSA. Jia En, how have you been doing?
Saying great. I'm very excited to be here with you guys today to, of course, meet Mahesh, my predecessor for many, many years ago, and yourself to just chit-chat a little bit more.
Before we go more into SMUSA, for a lot of students, in all honesty, we do not completely understand or know what being the president of SMUSA entails. So could you both maybe tell us a bit more of really what goes down and behind the scenes, what you guys do?
For us, like what I mentioned earlier on, we started with nothing, a blank sheet of paper, and we had no clubs, very little money. So the first few months was spent listening to the students on what clubs they want to set up. And then we had to get in their business plans, we had to get in their budgets, and then take it all to OSL and say, this is what we want to do. So it wasn't that difficult, to be honest, because again, everyone wanted to do something. And given the spirit of the Pioneer Batch, everyone was very motivated, and they wanted to get things done quickly. So getting people driven was not difficult. The drive was there already. It was just channeling it in the right way and managing expectations.
So Jia En, could you tell us a bit about your experience as the president of SMUSA, what goes on behind the scenes, and what you would just like to share in general about the experience, how it's been like for you?
Okay, so for myself, I would say there are different levels of experience. Individual, maybe in teams, and then on organization as a bigger picture. I think as an individual, it can be a little challenging to balance yourself and the role. On the team level, of course, there's a lot more to managing departments and understanding how different team members actually work. It's still a learning process. I'm still learning how to be a better leader among the team. And on the organizational level, I would say in terms of SMU, given that I work alongside with different stakeholders, external partners, then I would say this working relationship is as important, because it then again, you are the door to how people would see SMU students as well.
Mahesh, after hearing some of the issues that Jia En has been facing, do you have any advice in general?
Keep listening. Keep listening. Be on the ground as much as possible. Not everyone's going to like you, so stop trying to please everyone. Don't try to please everyone. Because if that's your goal, that's the quickest way to failure.
Another core part of good leadership that often gets overlooked, I would say, is giving back. So I want to ask, have either of you ever partaken in any philanthropic activity?
I do work with a few homes in my business and also on a personal level. I visit the homes, I spend time with the kids, me and a few friends, do donations, sponsor meals. We order food, we order meals for them, we have them delivered to the homes. Sometimes we throw parties there, we bring in entertainers to entertain them, things like that.
Jia En, have you been a part of any philanthropic activities?
For myself, SMU, we do have the 80 hours requirement, and over the past, I think 2 to 3 years, I would say 2 years where things are more restricted. We are not, for safety reasons, we are not able to be as involved. But I think one of the reasons would be smooth challenge and being able to give back to SMU community itself. I think it's really pretty meaningful.
Do either of you have any philanthropic role models? Someone that you generally look up to for their philanthropy?
Okay, my mother is Vietnamese herself. She would always say that she wasn't very fortunate as a child. So as she grows up and as she's able to enjoy more things in life, she always gives back to the children there. Be it on her birthdays, she would ensure that she would try to save the money on celebrating. Instead of that, she would buy food, packs food, and then send it to charities and that. So I've always looked up to her for that side of her, and I hope to be able to do the same.
On a global scale, what is one change you wish to see in the world? And what do you think we need to do to get there?
I hope that each and every one of us could be a little kinder to one another, right? Because as much as we think that it's not possible, it actually starts from us as individuals. Our decision today to someone either we know or we don't know could actually impact so much more than we actually imagine it to be.
I think it would be greater accountability for your actions. And even the little things that you do every day, I think it's probably in line with the point that she's just mentioned. But even the little things that you do every day that you don't think of, some of the issues that we're facing today on a global level, are consequences of decisions and actions of people before us. And if we're not going to change, then we're not leaving a lot for our children and our grandchildren.
It seems like, honestly, through both your ways, just small actions we make in general, it's true, it really can have an impact once everyone starts doing it. So to end things off today with the theme of leadership, I'd like to ask the both of you if you have any advice for someone who wants to try taking up a leadership position, but out of fear is too afraid to try. So do you have any advice as to how they can turn that fear into something else and go for it?
It's about service before self. And the minute you have that mindset and you go into it with that mindset, the changes that you can make and the smiles that you can put on people's faces, that in itself is enough to drive you and give you the energy that you need. If you can manage your time, you really should do it, because there's no greater sense of satisfaction.
I think speaking from experience myself, as someone who was very afraid of a lot of things, I think after stepping out and giving myself the opportunity to, I've seen so much more, I've learned and I grew so much more. So if I have to say something, it would be, if you have something that you really want to do, as much as we are fearful of it, if we give ourselves a chance today, we'll be able to see something that is so much more.
Thank you both so much for your time today and coming down. I truly learned so much from both of your experiences. And with that, we've come to the end of the final episode in our A Cuppa With series. From all of us at SMUBE Campus Radio, I just want to thank all the guests that have come along and shared their experiences with us. It has been a truly enlightening experience hearing all of the different stories. This was A Cuppa with Mahesh Primalani featuring Lim Jia En. Once again, I'm Hannah from SMUBE's Campus Radio. Say what you want to say. Bye!